you did some work in conflict resolution.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that? Because, I mean, this is an area that I think everyone should know something about.
Yeah, that is something that is very close to my heart. I feel like I haven't been fair to the world by not sharing what I have experienced. Conflict resolution itself right now is it's become mainstream. People talk about emotional intelligence,
Right.
but the core of that is conflict resolution and understanding how to deal with people. For me, conflict resolution is grounded in culture, because without understanding culture, you can understand how to deal with differences, right? And I use culture to basically characterize how people grow up, who their heroes are, what they stand for, not culture in the sense of where you are really from, country or boundaries, but what your role models are, what you believe in, and how you express yourself, right? So, and most especially how you glean meaning from what people say, because that's where the issues usually are. And I look at that and I see it devastating companies, and most importantly, the home. At home, there's a lot of strife because people just don't understand the language that the other person is speaking.
Right.
And it all comes down to conflict resolution and understanding, first of all, the way you communicate and the way you handle conflict vis-a-vis how the other person communicates and handles conflict. So in most cases, it's about misunderstanding, not really a problem. Maybe let me quote Jack Sparrow. He said, the problem is not the problem. The problem is the way you are thinking about the problem. And that is the problem.
Right.
You know, so in a nutshell, that's how I think it comes to our everyday lives, right?
How have you navigated certain challenges in life, and how can you take some of the learnings from this whole conflict resolution piece and advise others?
Right. I think there are 4 things I've learned. There is this thing about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, right? They have very terrifying names. I mean, they can be found in Revelation. You don't want to have those anywhere near you, right? But when we look at their effect on an organization or on a relationship, it can be very devastating. One is criticism,
right?
Defensiveness, right? Stonewalling and contempt. As long as you keep these 4 horsemen out of any relationship, right, everything is going to be okay.
You can thrive.
Everything will thrive. And if you look at problems through the lens of these 4 horsemen and make sure they don't show up, and maybe let me explain a little further, right? Criticism is not necessarily a bad thing, right? Like conflict. Conflict is a positive force because it always leads to change, right? All you have to think about our circumstances in Ghana, for example, from 1992, is through disagreement that we've moved from opaque ballot boxes, right, to a transparent process. So it's useful if it's managed well. The thing about criticism that can be dangerous if you don't stick to the 3 golden rules. One is to state exactly what you don't like or how it makes you feel, and what you want done about it.
Right.
Okay. So, example, somebody's supposed to bank the cash every day because we want to have records in the bank so we can take a loan, right? And they forget to do that. Okay. So it has distorted your process that you want to use to show the bank that you are a credible business with good cash flow. So you can say, hey, Mr. A, your job is to put the money in the bank every day and make sure it's done timely. You didn't do it. What it means is that we have to start all over again. And can you make sure you do that? But what I've found in most relationships and most businesses that I've consulted for is people then take that and move the issues into character. That is when you allow the first horseman to come in.
Right.
Okay, so you didn't take the bank. I've been telling you for so long. You don't care about the business. Once you move from the issues and you go into reasons why people are doing what they're doing, and start thinking about how somebody wants to destroy you. And we see this a lot. You want to destroy me, you don't care about me. Once that happens, then we're beginning to have issues. And then you move to defensiveness, where we leaders don't take responsibility. Immediately something comes up, we push it, right? So why are you late? Well, you should have known there was traffic on the road, so you gave me wrong directions, right? instead of taking responsibility, we become defensive and then we push. Now, by the time you get by the second horseman, which is defensiveness, then everything is it's on the downward spiral, right? It's starting to unravel. Now, usually the other person on the other end begins to get into the stonewalling phase, where they are not going to give you straight answers. They are going to be avoiding issues, getting frustrated. There's something that we need to talk about. They keep pushing it. Then eventually it's contempt. And once you get to the contempt level,
it's completely broken.
Yeah. So once you know how to identify those signs in an organization, and no matter how small the relationship is, right? Once you're able to recognize that, then it's easy to actually stop it before it happens.
Okay.
Because we all know that it's easier to stop something from happening. It's easier to do that than to stop it when it's already started.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
It becomes a big issue.
Yeah.
You know, so that is sort of the backbone of everything that we try to do, or the way I try to process things.
So have you had instances where you've, especially maybe earlier on in your career, where you were not able to navigate those things because maybe a lack of experience at the time or a lack of wisdom? Or has this always kind of come naturally to you, being able to resolve, issues, whether in the workplace, with relationships?
No, I've made a ton of mistakes. I mean, some of them have been quite serious, We've been in all kinds of relationships that haven't worked well. In the moment, we thought we were right. We thought that we had something to defend, right? But eventually you realize that no. In that moment, right, what was speaking was frustration, was this whole sense of being right. Because my mom used to say, you have to choose. Do you want to be right or you want to be happy? You can have both, but oftentimes you don't have that. You don't have that choice. Sometimes you need to give. Yeah, but I've learned so much. But I think one of the key things of everything that I will call successful has come from my failures. I believe we learn more from failures than we learn from successes. Successes can get into complacency, while failure, if you take it in for what it is and not beat yourself up too much, it becomes a certain oxygen that fuels you to go forward. I tell people there are certain issues I can't help you with it. I can't tell you what to do, but I can certainly tell you what you shouldn't do.
What not to do.
I have done that and it didn't work.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer, but certainly don't do this.